Among countless notable achievements in exploration, 5 firsts achieved by our members define the legacy of the Explorers Club. 1909, the North Pole. 1911, the South Pole. 1953, the highest point on Earth, summiting Mount Everest. 1960, the lowest point on Earth, the Marianas Trench. 1969, the surface of the Moon, the Apollo 11 mission.
The club's founding mission, to promote exploration by all means possible, remains our driving force. Headquartered in New York City with a community of chapters around the world, the Explorers Club supports scientific expeditions of all disciplines and unites our members in the bonds of good fellowship. Historic flags are carried on our most distinguished expeditions. Our members are storytellers and changemakers. We are driven by the instinct to explore, forge new frontiers, and push boundaries for the scientific advancement of human knowledge. We are explorers. Together, Fjällräven and the Explorers Club inspire the world to walk with nature. Join us each month for a thought-provoking and exciting new episode featuring explorers from around the world as they share their work and stories from the field. Our goal is to push the boundaries of curiosity, explore the wild around us, and inspire new and seasoned explorers to discover nature in a new way. The sense of togetherness with nature has never been more crucial. This is the Explorers Club Fjällräven Speaker Series.
I was born in South America, I was raised in Brooklyn, and if you've ever been to Brooklyn, there's not so many places that are wide open and green, or parks and stuff like that. But for me, just exploring what was around me, because it's easy to hate something you don't understand, and I never understood pigeons until I had to do a story on pigeons and research the project and research the topic and see how beautiful they actually are. In nature really helped grow my curiosity and my passion for nature and my love for nature.
Nature is something that we shouldn't take for granted. Nature is everything that makes who we are. All of our biological makeup is found in nature. And when we die, we go back into the ground and are recycled throughout nature. And the biggest fallacy is to believe that you are better or separate from nature. And I think that that has been humanity's biggest discourse. And I believe that that has been humanity's biggest downfall. When you are exploring in the outdoors, when you have to survive, you no longer think that you are better than nature or you're on top of nature, but you can see the magnificence of nature and you begin to appreciate and have gratitude toward the majesty that it has. As soon as you're outdoors and you're really exploring nature, you find that you work with nature. Nature doesn't work for you. It doesn't go the other way around. And that has been one of my greatest fascinations of being outside in the natural world.
Hi guys, my name is Mario Rigby and I'm an eco-explorer. My life is about adventure and exploring in places, particularly where environmental and social injustices are most prevalent, and to share those stories to the rest of the world as best as I can. My claim to fame has been walking the length of Africa from Cape Town to Cairo, which took me about 2 years. And after that wild experience, I've been able to travel around the world doing expeditions that are all human powered. adventures and expeditions as well, like kayaking, the Great Lakes around the world, such as in Africa and in Canada, as well as riding my bike across the continent of North America, and an upcoming expedition where I'll be circumnavigating the Turks and Caicos Islands.
Hi, everyone. My name is George McKenzie Jr. I am a photographer. I happen to be a wildlife conservation photographer from an urban setting. So definitely unique. My claim to fame is that I am one of the few Black wildlife photographers that exist, and I do a lot of stories on urban wildlife. So if you have a question on pigeons, rats, please feel free, ask, shoot us a question or anything. I am also a National Geographic grantee. I'm a National Geographic Society photo camp instructor, and I'm also a mentor. For me, what's really important in this space is diversity in wildlife, and especially in wildlife conservation. To me, that's extremely important. This might sound kind of weird, but I want to be the David Attenborough for my generation and for my kind. I want kids to be able to look at a screen and see themselves represented in a space that you normally don't see people that look like us exist.
What made you decide that, having diversity in the outdoors is important for the world? Why is that important for us?
For me, one of the main driving reason behind this is representation. And I have a unique point of view on representation. As I said earlier in my introduction, I am from a urban setting. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I was born in South America, raised in Brooklyn, and I'm a wildlife photographer, right? So when you think of New York City, you don't generally think of wildlife other than, like I mentioned earlier, the rats and the pigeons. So, hey, that's where I come in. But my story on inclusion happened as I was walking through a New York City housing projects one day to meet a friend. A bunch of young gentlemen were sitting in the middle, and one of them asked me, hey, would you be willing to sell your camera? And it really got me to engage with this young man about what photography has done for me, how photography has changed my life. It's saved my life. And to me, the world looks just better through a viewfinder. And in having that conversation with that young man and encouraging him to pursue his dreams, that's when representation became important to me. Because in seeing how that one conversation inspired him to make a conscious decision to follow his dream, that hit me really hard, because I never wanted to be a politician. I never wanted to be a lawyer. So when Barack Obama got into the White House, like, it was cool. It's something that I am still super happy about. I'm getting goosebumps just saying it. With that being said, that was just never something I wanted to pursue. But photography and being able to pursue it, especially in the field that I'm in, it's been something that has really just stood out to me, that needs diversity. And I'm here to champion that. Now, Mario, with you asking me that question, I have a question for you. What got you into it, bro? Like, no one wakes up one day and they're like, so I'm gonna fly to Cape Town and walk to Cairo. Like, what was that? What got you into being an explorer? What was that spark for you?
I think the spark was something that happened over a long period of time. I think exploration and adventure is in all of our bloods. It's, when you're born being an explorer, because your job as a baby is to feel out your environment, to learn about what does a sound mean, what does touch mean, all those different things, trying to figure out where you are in the universe. And, I don't think it ever leaves us, but we definitely teach people to, or we kind of unlearn a different way of kind of experiencing life. And we say that as an adult, you have to stop being curious and start earning money. And, I did that for some time, and I did earn some good money. I did basically do the ultimate thing that I thought I could do at the time. But there was something missing, and I was wondering why that thing was missing. Why am I missing this piece of, I would say, my North Star? I couldn't find it. And, I started to go into this kind of deep depression for some time, when I was 29 years old, just before my expedition to crossing Africa. And what happened was I decided that I'm going to find the ultimate thing that I would do if money weren't a thing and if fear wasn't a thing. What would you do? What is the number one thing? And I always, we always ask that question in our heads, but we don't actually play it out. So I started to ask that question theoretically, and I wanted to hypothetically kind of live through this idea of what it would look like. But as I started to do more deep research, I thought to myself, well, wow, much like you, and with the inspiration of having diversity in the outdoors, I thought to myself, well, there's literally no one that looks like me that's doing these kinds of things. So, why is that? And that made me more curious. And then that childlike curiosity started to drive me to do those things. And so I began my research, and I started to prepare myself. I sold everything, my condo, my furniture, everything, just took it all out. I did my due diligence with the people I had to part with. And, I told my friends, like, this is what's going to happen. And 9 months later, my gift was for my mother, which was a flight ticket to go to Cape Town. And I remember landing there on my 30th birthday. And I remember when I landed, I knew that would change my life forever. And I'm living a purposefully driven life in which, it's no longer just about me. I'm now representing an entire different realm that I couldn't even touch at the time. I couldn't understand at the time. And as I started to do my walk across Africa, I then only started to touch the surface of what all of this meant.
Wow.
Yeah,
Dude,
that was my experience.
That was super deep.
Getting into it.
That was a really good answer. I'm sitting listening to your answer, and I'm like, man, why didn't I have an answer like that?
Well, I mean, I've been doing a lot of talks, and I've been privileged enough to go to some really amazing places, like in Uganda, where they had former child refugee soldiers from South Sudan who otherwise, instead of being in this camp, would have been child soldiers who would be murdering other children and families and raiding villages. And, a large organization approached me, and they said, do you want to have a conversation with these kids? And we would make this part of a promo for our organization. And I said, absolutely, yeah. And so I remember that was some of my first talks that I've ever done, speaking engagements, where the first talks I did were with people who were at that level, those children. And they had to, every single one of them graduated at a level that was higher than the global average. And yeah, it was crazy. The number one question that, these former refugee child soldiers would ask me is, Brother Mario, how is we as a people can overcome the fear of doing the things that we want to do? How can we become courageous like you? And I thought to myself, this is such an important question. It's so deep, and it means so much, because there has been higher civilizations that have been encouraged to not have courage. In Africa, the continent has been like that because it's been pillaged by Europeans, colonizers for so long. and they've kind of kept their heads down, and they've always been told that they're not the ones to be the caretakers of the land. And so what I aspire to do really is to give a voice to these people. And even if it's just they see me and they can relate that back to themselves, and they can say, wow, people that look like me can do the things that I only dreamt about. But when they see it, it becomes real, it becomes tangible. And so to me, that's my North Star. That's what I go after, is trying to answer that question to everybody.
Nice. That's amazing, man.
Yeah. So, George, I was going to ask, I've been seeing a lot of new movements in the outdoor industry, and also in the outdoor spaces, seeing, brothers like you going out there and really, following your passions. And I want to know, what kind of, how do you see yourself right now doing what you're doing? And how do you see that, that movement moving forward in the next couple of years? I know the next couple of years is a very short time, but how do you see yourself in where you are in the space that you are with, outdoor photography, and then where do you see that in the next couple of years? Do you see yourself being a more prominent figure in this field, or do you see yourself kind of being in the shadows like how it was?
So that's a really good question. And I'm going to say this without coming off as arrogant or cocky, but there's nobody in this industry that will ever outwork me, and they will ever outplan me, outstudy me, because of, and this as a man of color, right? This is something that's kind of ingrained in us at a young age, that in order for us to fit in and be acceptable, I still have to be minimum 10 times as nicer as somebody who doesn't look like me. And there's a whole bunch of different ethnic groups that don't look like me. But for me, that's always my bar. My bar, my goal, it's going to sound crazy, but I carry the flag for everyone that looks like me, right? And I take the lashes, I take the beatings, I take the praise and the notoriety for it. And I take it all because I want to see more people that look like me in this space. Yeah. I want to walk into a room to give a talk on pigeons or wildlife photography, and I don't see one other black face, or I have to look in the mirror to see a black face. So for me, it's about normalizing Black photographers in the outdoors, normalizing Black people in the outdoors. And, dude, I'm from Brooklyn. I got Central Park, 20 minutes away, Prospect Park, another 20 minutes away. So I don't go outdoors that often. But in order for me to set an example and lead that path and walk that path, I'm getting out there. I'm going to go out there. I encourage all the people that are viewing this, you're listening to this, to, hey, find us on social media, follow, and be a part of this journey, because what I want to do is show people that look like me, that come from the exact same situations that I have come from, that you too can go out there and be one with nature. It's not hard. It's literally, in my mind, it's a matter of education. And just the more knowledgeable you are about your surroundings, the more you appreciate it, the more you tend to care for it. And we only have this one planet. And, environmental justice can't be achieved without, in my opinion, racial justice, because everybody needs to be part of this. I don't care what your ethnic group is. like, this is all we have. There's no like second Earth, you know? So when it's gone, and like, we have to deal with it. So I really want to really directly answer your question. In the next couple of years, I would love to be the leader of the changing faces in exploration, and just having more diversity in this in the outdoors. You know, and I know this is something that you and I have had conversations about, sidebar, where we walk into a room and it's like, oh, okay, I see this. I'm the only chip in the milk, and we're gonna have to work, you know, and it's because it's something, right? When you talk to, especially the younger kids, and I really do enjoy talking to the younger kids, especially the younger ones who have been beaten up by life so hard already, that they kind of like, they walk with, like you said, they walk with their heads down, right? Those are the kids I want to talk to, because I want them to know how special they are and how much that they can do, you know, because they get beaten down by society, by life so much, and they never really have the Marios or the Georges in their lives to give them a different point of view on something. You know, so that's where I really want to be in the next couple of years. Is the photography is going to come. I'm not worried about that, but I'm really worried about the next generation, because to me, they're so important. And the earlier that they learn their value and their self-worth, not just to me, but to themselves, we're all living in a better world, you know? So that's where I hope I can be in the next couple of years.
No, that's great. I love that answer. It's an argument that I use from, countless amounts of times, which is the more people that we have in the outdoor who care for the earth, the better the earth will be. And we need to change the way we think about, who are the caretakers, who are the custodians of the earth. We all need to be. And the only way we can all be is if we're all involved. And you can only be involved if you're actually out there in the field.
So I have a question for you. And what a lot of people that are going to be watching this don't know is that you and I jumped on the phone one day after being introduced by the leadership at the Explorers Club. And we started talking for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. Yo, bro, I gotta go. I got life happening. So during that conversation, one of the things that you brought up, it was, kind of your next expedition, right? And I don't want to be the person that give your expeditions away. So I know, to me, it's I'm having goosebumps. I'm a little verklempt talking to you about it, because it's really that cool. But why don't you tell us about your next expedition?
Yeah, I'm quite excited for this one. I know exactly which one you're talking about. I mean, I have a handful of expeditions lined up for the next few years, but the one that you're talking about, I believe, is the Matthew Henson project. And essentially, Matthew Henson is, to me, someone who represents, I think, inclusion and diversity in the exploration world, unlike any other, because he did something so incredibly great, and he wasn't given credit for it, for the part of his life, and that was incredibly shocking for me, because I also didn't know that the first person to have reached the North Pole was a Black man. And what I wanted to do basically is to retrace his footsteps to the North Pole, and basically do it as he did, and create a film documentary about Matthew Henson's journey, but also my expedition, and but also how that ties into modern civilization. Where have we gone since that time, and how have we how have we as a human society have gotten together? Are we moving forward in the right direction? And so this is a very exciting documentary, because it really touches upon a lot of really exciting things I think that every human being, whether you're empathetic or not, and I think most humans are empathetic, but whether you're empathetic or not, you will relate to this documentary, because it shows, the insecurities of some people who would basically wipe out entire races just to basically say that, our race is better. Gone are those times now where we have to become the first, the best, and, my people are the best. And, those times are gone. Those times are really gone. And we need to move forward in a new direction where basically, collaboration is probably the key to moving forward, with moving into the third industrial revolution, And so I want to inspire the next generation of explorers who are going to go to Mars, who are going to go to other planets. But before that happens, they need to understand that here on Earth, we're actually getting along. We're not just going out to Mars because we want to be the first ones to go to Mars, and we're forgetting about everything that's going below us. Otherwise, we would have never rectified the problems that we've had as a human species, as a human race. And so that's the Matthew Henson project.
I am so excited to see the final results, because I know how hard you work at prepping yourself, prepping your body, your team to get acclimated for that kind of thing. So I'm super excited to see it,
It's definitely going to be a couple of years of training. I've never been to the Arctic before. And, Matthew Henson was actually known by the indigenous people as the nice man. And that's a really amazing title to have, especially around those explorers. It wasn't really about being nice to indigenous people or people that weren't part of their community.
Sure.
And he learned the language of the indigenous people, and he learned their ways. And that's something that I do currently. This is how I explore. I like for the people who I go to visit to teach me, not the other way around. The Western way is not the ultimate way. It's far from it. No way is the only way. And so I think this needs to be normalized. Okay, amongst your peers, your friends in the Black community, how do they see you doing what you're doing?
They think I'm insane.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've had the same experience. Like, they were like, only you, George, would want to know more about rats. Only you would want to know about pigeons. What are you going to do next? Roaches? Like, yeah, you never know. I already got a magazine that wants that story, by the way.
Oh, nice.
But my friends think I'm weird. They think it's different. And with that being said, it's something that I feel it should be addressed, in the sense that if there are any young kids or any young people or anyone looking at this and trying to think, well, what does this person think, and what does this? Don't let other people's opinions of you keep you trapped in that box. And
exactly,
whatever their anxiousness or anxiety might be, it's not for me. So I am totally fine being that guy, like the odd one out. Like, oh, there's a pigeon. George is gonna like go feed it or talk to it or something like that. Or I'm the person that they send all their rat videos that they find. Rats in the subway. Oh, you'll love this. So I don't mind standing out. I don't mind being unique, because one of the things that I learned in this relentless thing we call life is that your journey is your own, right? Like, my mom's or my father's anxiety or fear of my failure does not predict my failure, and I had to learn that. And I had to learn to, like, you have to learn how to put the Bose quiet comforts on, kind of block the noise out, and you're just going straight ahead, because other people's anxiety, fears will deter your dreams if you let them keep on talking to you. So that's one of the things I learned. You can't let anyone else kind of like think for you. So that's a great question, by the way. One last question. So Mario, I know that you're working on opening up a dive school down in Turks and Caicos, and it's one of these great goals of yours, right? For me, I don't know how to swim. I don't know how to dive, but I know that you look like me. So if Mario could do it, you better believe I could do. I might not be able to do it as well as you, but I can do it also. Yeah. So with that being asked, what's that about? What's that passion about for swimming? Because as a guy who walked across the continent, you know what I'm saying?
Well, so what a lot of people don't know is I was actually raised in Germany. I lived there for 10 years. And then from Germany, I moved to Turks and Caicos Islands, which are two completely opposing cultures. One is very rigid and strict. The other one is very loose and relaxed. And, we're surrounded by water. We're surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean. And, we're a very tiny island of, at the time, it was 30,000 people. Now it's 44,000 people that are residents of the Turks and Caicos Islands. And there isn't any schools in Turks and Caicos that actually train or teach local people or people or who are underprivileged on how to scuba dive. So all we do is get foreigners to come down. And to me, that is a huge loss of liberty because, we're not essentially utilizing the entirety of what the Turks and Caicos Islands has to offer. And so what I like to do is I want to present opportunities for young Black men and women to get into something besides just going into the tourism industry or, working at the hotel. It's an opportunity for people to do something that's different, but it's abundant. And I would also like to make it a hub for people from around the world to come and see that Turks and Caicos is actually the place that you would want to get your dive license, your master dive license, your, even cave diving and so on and so on. And also other water sports. And I feel like it's not enough just to be a face and expect people to say, okay, well, Mario's done it, so I can do it because I am Black like him. That's part of it. That starts it. That's like the acceleration. But to maintain it, you have to give people the resources and the opportunities to actually facilitate those skills that they want to acquire. And I think the best place to do that is in those communities. And so that's why I wanted to open up a school there.
That's amazing, man. Well, I will take you up on that. Yes, I will be, just because Mario did it, I will be learning how to dive and snorkel.
George, it just opens up. I just posted a video on YouTube that you can check out. I call it, I think it's diving in Turks and Caicos. And I just talk about like the process of, learning how to dive and going out there in Turks and Caicos and why I believe diving is so important. I'm here in Turks and Caicos Islands, and I'm about to go on a deep dive with my buddy Kevin Bethel, who is a PADI certified instructor, and he's the one who's going to teach me how to go underwater. Let's go check it out. Turks and Caicos is where I was raised and where I really learned how to make adventure part of my life. Going into the ocean is definitely a big part of the Turks and Caicos Islands. Since we're surrounded by one of the largest barrier reef systems in the world, it's crazy not to go into the water. The coral reef system is incredibly important because it's an integral part of the ocean. Being in the ocean, being in the water is an embodiment of just my life and where I was raised. Most of the food that we consume here comes from the ocean. We have the lobster, the crab, the conch shells, we have fish. And so it's so important for us to stay sustainable and have an eco way of looking at it. And it feels really majestic because you feel like you're small, but not in a bad way. But it feels like there's so much more out there than just yourself. I think when people feel that, when people see that, I think it can really translate to them wanting to do more than just selfish things for themselves, but really look at the grand scheme of humanity, of wildlife, of Earth, and everything that's going on around us. The first time I ever scuba dived, it was such a scary experience. You know, you're in this completely different world, and you're completely bombarded with all different senses. You're in a three-dimensional plane field where up, down, left, right, it just doesn't feel the same as being on land. It can be frightening. But once you're comfortable, after a while, once you learn how to breathe, once you understand the flow of the water and how to buoyance yourself, then it feels like you're becoming a part of the ocean. So Kevin, how was the water for us?
It was amazing. We had a really good time today. You look great. You're halfway there. Okay, so now you can also add underwater to your eco adventure.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations, man. Looking good.
My whole life is about adventure and using human-powered propulsion, and it also means to go underwater. More than 70% of the surface of the Earth is covered in water, so why not explore that part as well? I really want to see what the underwater world ecosystem is all about, so thanks to Kevin, I'm able to explore this now and take you guys even further into more exploration. The ocean can seem very intimidating for a lot of people, and I can completely understand that. But there's actually an important connection between what's happening on land and what's happening underwater. And I really want to connect those two dots together. It's important to discover what makes up the majority of things around you. And also, it just keeps your curiosity high. When your curiosity is in full mode, just the whole world becomes your oyster. For you, you know, as someone who you know, when you're photographing rats and roaches and pigeons and whatnot, going into the ocean allows you to expand your subjects even further.
Yeah. Bruh, you don't even have to tell me twice. Like with the people, so I'm going to tell the people what you and I talked about sidebar. So one of the reasons as a human being, I want to go and learn how to dive and swim is I was talking to Mario when the Explorers Club introduced us. We were having an offline conversation, and I told him that I personally lost out on a job because I didn't have a dive certification, because I didn't know how to swim I don't know how to swim. I can like dog swim. I can get from like point A to point A1, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, these are skills that can translate in life.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk about investing in the communities and the people, like there's nothing better as a tourist when I go on vacation and I engage with a local that is knowledgeable, invested.
Yes.
in the experience that I have while I'm there,
Yeah.
that's where I prefer to spend my money when I go on vacation instead of booking a tour through the hotel.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like that's really important what you're trying to do. And there's so many different facets to it, you know, where it can really build the community there. Instead of importing divers and instructors, you can literally go down to the school and say, hey, you want a summer job? You're not the pool, you're the lifeguard at the pool. You know, you keep that money in the community instead of flying me in from New York City. You know what I'm saying?
And it also drives a deeper sense of purpose for that community, you know, because what I've realized is that, you know, a lot of young kids, they're lost. They don't know, you know, they don't know where to go. So a lot of them will go into the life of crime. You know what I mean? So, and
it's the same exact thing that I learned with, like that story I was telling you earlier with the, you know, this kid that made, you know, representation important to me. You know, these kids are forced, hey, you can be an athlete, you can be an entertainer, you know, the academics, not so much, especially for young Black men, you know, and that is something to me that's super important because I need these young men and women to see that they are special and they're beautiful and they're worth it. You know, and that's why, like I said, I commend you for doing what you're doing. I'm super excited to see the story unfold, and I literally can't wait for the time when we get back out of restrictions so I can actually go and see Matthew Henson's gloves at the Explorer Club archive.
That's crazy. Yeah, I can't wait for that as well. That would be deep.
Yeah,
I'm coming to New York to check you guys out too. So
come on through, brother. I look forward to it. We'll go and, you know, paint the town red. You know, plus hopefully by then, you know, I will have fully become an explorer by then from the Explorer Club, and we can just go to the club and hang out, you know, and have some fun.
That'd be cool. That'd be great. And well, I wanted to mention a couple other things too. This is like, you know, self-promotion here kind of thing, but so I have another expedition coming up in that's the first one. Matthew Henson one is in a couple of years. So my upcoming challenge in 2021 between May and April is called the Caicos Challenge. And Caicos Challenge really is to traverse the entire Turks and Caicos Islands using human-powered propulsion. So it'll be swimming, running, kayaking, cycling, and hiking as well. And it'll cover over 300 kilometers, 350 kilometers of mostly water and beaches. Now, this is an expedition I'm really excited about because it'll be my first expedition in my home country, in Turks and Caicos Islands, where I was born. And while I'm doing this, the challenge will also be that if I'm doing a segment of, let's say, swimming, through my social media, we want other people around the world to also challenge that particular leg of the expedition wherever they are. So if I'm swimming 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers, we want to have other people participate by swimming 3 kilometers in their home country, anywhere around the world. So this is going to be a very huge participation expedition because, you know, as an explorer, we tend to be very solo driven, and it kind of seems alien for a lot of people to watch and see what we're doing. But, you know, I would really like to engage the community around the world and have them be a part of this expedition.
No, but go ahead, bro. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And again, that's, you know, this project is to show that Turks and Caicos is more than just a beach. And, you know, we have adventures here. So we welcome explorers, adventurers, and people who want to do these things, you know.
So please find me on Instagram at George McKenzie Jr. Mario, is there anything else you'd like to say for the people?
Yeah, no, I think we got into some, you know, good talks, and I just hope that this resonates with people and they can really start to ask questions, you know. That's really what this conversation is really about, is to is to foster curiosity in people and to have them think about, well, what does the outdoor space look like, and how can it be better? If you guys want to also check out, my stories and the things that I do, best place to reach me is on Instagram at Mario Rigby.
Awesome. I'm super excited to tune into it and happy. Literally, dude, I wish you nothing but the best, man. Seriously, I hope you.
George, same to you, man. Like, I mean, I'm watching you close. Like,
Yeah,
I'm watching you. I'll be watching you close.
I'm out here, man. So before we go, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. I hope you appreciate this is our intimate conversation. Like Mario and I, when we get on the phone, it usually goes for 2 hours. So like you guys got a snippet of it. But thank you. Huge shout outs to the Explorers Club. Thank you to Fjällräven, to Legacy Foundations that helped come together and put this together for us to be able to be here and present it to you and be able to highlight some of the interesting work that we've both been doing. And for me, I will be having a print sale for the month of December into the new year. And, I hope you guys stop by, buy a print, support. Appreciate it. Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Definitely my pleasure to be here. Ciao, guys.
Thank you for tuning into the Explorers Club Fjällräven Walk with Nature speaker series. The true impact of exploration lies within communication and storytelling. These episodes were made possible by an incredible group of editors, filmmakers, videographers, and producers. We would like to thank each of them for lending their time and talents to help bring these stories to life.